This is a 2020 GMC Sierra Harley-Davidson, and it is a $95,000 pickup truck that commemorates Harley-Davidson, the famed motorcycle brand. This truck has undergone a lot of changes to create its motorcycle theme, and today I'm going to show them to you. Before I get started, be sure to check out Cars and Bids, which is my new online enthusiast car auction website located at carsandbids.com. We have a focus on modern enthusiast cars, stuff from the 80s and up. And we have some amazing cars listed right now on Cars and Bids, like this, and also this, and also this. So if you have a cool car from the 80s and up and you're looking to sell it and get top dollar, Cars and Bids is the place, the ultimate online marketplace for modern enthusiast cars. I've borrowed this Sierra from Hohen GMC here in Carlsbad in the San Diego area. Hohen GMC is my local GMC dealership, and they have all of the new GMC models, including this truck, which is rare, and the new GMC Yukon, which is just starting to arrive in dealerships. You can check out Hohen GMC by clicking the link in the description below. Now, as you may know, I have already reviewed the GMC Sierra 1500, the light-duty model, and the heavy-duty GMC Sierra, both in top-of-the-range Denali trim. So today I'm going to focus just on the Harley-Davidson quirks and features. You may remember in the 1990s and the 2000s, Ford sold Harley-Davidson versions of its F-Series pickup truck. They were pretty popular and it was considered a pretty good tie-in at the time. Trucks and Harleys, it makes sense. Well, now for 2020, we have the Sierra Harley-Davidson. Now, I assumed that this truck would have some Harley badging on the outside and maybe some different Harley-themed leather on the inside and some upgraded wheels, but Harley changes to this truck are way more comprehensive than that. Underneath all this Harley stuff is a regular GMC Sierra SLT with a sticker price of around $62,000. The Harley stuff is added by a company called Tuscany, and it adds over $30,000 to the sticker price for a total price of around $95,000. And today I'm going to show you what 30 grand in Harley upgrades buys you. First, I'm going to take you on a tour of this truck and show you the quirks and features of its Harley-Davidson add-ons. Then I'm going to get it out on the road and drive it, and then I'll give it a Doug score. All right, I'm going to start going over the Harley-Davidson themed quirks and features on the side of the Sierra Harley-Davidson, where there is, as I suspected, quite a bit of badging. For instance, you have this massive Harley-Davidson badge on the door, each individual letter spelling out the whole word, going almost the entire length of the front door of this vehicle. Of course, that's on both sides. And of course, the badging continues from there. On the front fender, you have this little badge, like where a side vent would be, except this is just an orange Harley-Davidson themed area on the front fender of the Harley truck, again driving home the point that that's what this is. And then we have to talk about the wheels, very different from a standard GMC Sierra wheel, very Harley-Davidson-y with the Harley logo in the middle, and it says Harley-Davidson Motor Company going around the center. Very eye-catching, very distinctive compared to your typical Sierra, very Harley-Davidson. Of course, one other major item you can notice on the side of this truck, it is lifted, and lifted quite a bit compared to a regular Sierra 1500, which this is. It has BDS suspension with Fox shocks, and it's not some hack job lifting situation. This is a factory truck, so they've recalibrated the speedometer, the tire pressure sensors, they've stabilized it, so it is a nicely done lift to give this truck more height and more presence. And next up, we move on to the front of the Sierra Harley-Davidson, where you again have an enormous amount of Harley-Davidson stuff. The first thing you notice up here is the orange trim around the grille, all trimmed in orange to match the Harley-Davidson Harley-Davidson color scheme, and the front tow hooks are also painted orange, again, to drive home that Harley-Davidson point. But it doesn't even come close to stopping there. You do have a GMC logo on the grille, but below that you have another Harley-Davidson written out, larger than GMC is written out, to again really drive home the point that this isn't just a GMC, it's a Harley-Davidson. But by far my very favorite thing in the front is the grille itself. You can see if you look closely, the cutouts in the grille aren't just ovals or rectangles, they're a distinct shape. And actually that shape is the Harley-Davidson crest. It's printed many, many times in this grille, the Harley-Davidson logo over and over again. You might not notice it unless you look closely, but that's what it is. Nice attention to detail and nice other way to get Harley-Davidson in the front of this truck. And the Harley stuff continues from there. The hood has been swapped out compared to a regular Sierra 1500. They call this a Harley-Davidson inspired Ram Air hood, and it just looks more aggressive than your standard pickup truck hood. Also on the windshield at the top you have a big Harley-Davidson banner, again reminding people that this isn't just a regular Sierra, it's a Harley-Davidson, in case they've missed all of the other badging and insignia on the outside of this truck. And there's more than just that, because then we move around to the back, which might just be the most Harley-Davidson place in the whole truck. We start in the corner of the tailgate where you have another orange Harley-Davidson logo in the bottom right, again to drive home the Harley point. But driving it home even further is Harley-Davidson written across the middle of the tailgate, taking up basically the entire rear of the truck back here. In fact, there's no GMC logo back here, or basically anywhere on the outside of this truck. The only GMC logo is in the very front. Otherwise, it doesn't say Sierra, it doesn't say GMC, it just says Harley-Davidson. People who encounter one of these on the street are going to think that Harley-Davidson is now in the pickup business. And based on this truck's badging, they wouldn't really be wrong. And next up back here, a Harley-Davidson pickup truck wouldn't be complete without a Harley-Davidson sounding exhaust. This truck has that, but before you hear it, take a look at the exhaust tips. Not only are they wide and thick, but they also have little orange accents on them. Both on the driver and passenger side of the truck, you have dual exhaust with orange accents, again to drive home the Harley-Davidson point. And in addition to just looking Harley-ish, like I said, these exhausts sound Harley-ish. Take a listen. But the craziest thing in back here is probably the bed cap. Yes, this truck includes a bed cap. You spend $100,000 on a pickup truck, you don't just get an ugly exposed bed. So it has a cap on it, and on that cap is a giant Harley logo kind of debossed into the bed cap. So there's no mistaking this truck for anything else, even from above. You're on an airplane, you can easily identify which truck is yours, the one with the giant Harley logo pointing up in the bed. And next we move inside the Harley-Davidson Sierra, where there is predictably quite a bit of Harley-Davidson stuff in here. Starting when you open the door sill says Harley-Davidson, again making it very clear what this is, and again not GMC or Sierra, but Harley-Davidson. Just up from the door sill you have the pedals, and you can see the Harley-Davidson logo on the accelerator pedal, not the brake, because braking isn't cool. Harleys go fast, so we put it on the loud pedal, yeah. You also have Harley-Davidson stuff pretty much everywhere else in this interior. For example, on the seats, you have Harley-Davidson printed in orange, and the seats themselves are trimmed in orange stitching. You can see driver's seat and passenger seat, a lot of orange stitching, and there's orange stitching elsewhere in this cabin too, especially the back seats, all orange stitching, again, driving home the Harley-Davidson point in this truck. My very favorite Harley branded item in here, though, is definitely the gauge cluster situation, which is very different from the regular one in the Sierra, and frankly, in my opinion, a lot cooler. For one thing, you have two different Harley logos, one on the tachometer, one on the speedometer, and it says Harley-Davidson on the tachometer and on the speedometer, so it's pretty much everywhere. But you also have this cool aluminum look, and it lights up in orange to match the stitching in the exterior trim and the Harley-Davidson logo, and frankly, I think it just kind of looks cool when it's on, the Harley-Davidson edition gauge cluster. Also worth noting, again, you only have one GMC GMC logo in this gauge cluster and 4 Harley logos. They're really playing up Harley over GMC in here, which is unusual. The last Harley-themed item worth noting in this interior is in the center. This is the most important. This wing badge you can see with the Harley-Davidson logo in the middle, and then below that there are some numbers, 20 HD 0113. That means 2020 Harley-Davidson edition number 113. That's your individual serial number, and that way you know which truck you have in the Harley production run. I don't know how many of these they're going to make, but it is going to be a very limited edition. You won't exactly see these frequently on the road, but when you do, you'll know you have a Harley-Davidson enthusiast from all of the badging. And finally, moving inside the bed itself, you'll notice a few important details back here. For one thing, the entire bed is carpeted. Again, you pay almost $100 for a truck, you get a carpeted bed, not just the typical exposed metal. That's what a true luxury truck provides. And the carpeting has the Harley-Davidson logo in it, of course, because you wouldn't expect anything else. You'll also notice that the floor mats are back here, and once again, the Harley-Davidson logo is seen in the floor mats. So you put those inside and you would have yet another Harley-Davidson logo in the interior, as if you didn't have enough reminders of your Harley truck already. All right, driving the Harley-Davidson Sierra. Now, I must admit, I kind of like this truck. I like special edition cars. I always have pace car editions, and any special edition an automaker can create, I'm kind of a sucker for it. And I like this. I like all the little changes and differences and the little Harley stuff. I like spotting it, I like seeing it, and I just like, I mean, Harley's a cool brand. You know, this is a truck that people like, and combining them is kind of neat. And frankly, I always thought it was a neat idea when they did it for the Ford F-Series, the F-150, and then later the Super Duty trucks, and now the Harley pickup has returned as a GMC. A couple things about driving it. One, it's huge. Pickups in general, full-size trucks these days are huge, but this one is huge. It's lifted. That hood comes up even higher, that Harley-inspired Ram Air hood, and so that makes it feel even bigger. It's hard to tell where you are in front, given how high you are and how high that hood is. This is a big truck intended to really announce your presence, and they've put on a lot of stuff to make it clear that this is just no regular truck. I like the exhaust sound. I think that's one thing the Ford trucks never really got right. They never got it Harley enough. This truck sounds like a Harley. And here's something cool. The truck actually kind of rumbles at stoplights. So you come up to a traffic light and it's not just incredibly smooth, quiet. That's every other Sierra. The Harley truck shakes a little bit like a Harley does. It gives you that experience, which I just think is hilarious. And it's kind of cool that they match that if you're into that. Now, obviously, the truck is absurd. I want to be clear. We're driving a lifted pickup that's $100 with Harley logos everywhere. But I do think that for the right buyer, I could see this being a thing. And I think a Harley owner could see this and say, yeah, I like trucks. I like Harleys. This is it. It's a small group who can do that and spend 100 G's on a new truck. But if you're gonna, this is the coolest one. And so that's the GMC Sierra Harley-Davidson. Most of my viewers won't get this truck, understand it, but some of my viewers will say that they gotta have this truck, and that's sort of the point. It's designed to capture the mind and spirit of someone who's a truck enthusiast and a Harley-Davidson enthusiast and put it together in one pickup. And in that way, they've succeeded masterfully. And now it's time to give the Harley-Davidson Sierra a Doug score. And the Doug score is here. The Sierra Harley-Davidson ties the regular Sierra. It gets 1 extra point in the fun factor category, so the weekend score is a bit higher, but it loses a point for value because it's so expensive, so the daily score is a bit lower. It's very rare, though. They're only building 250 of these for the 2020 model year, so it may retain some value, as not every Harley fan will be able to get one.